everyone, and welcome to the final lesson from Muse. Today's lesson is called Final Words, and we're just going to be reviewing everything that we've talked about during this entire course and really this whole year. So just sort of a review lesson. Muse had 3 parts: writing, analysis, and research. So let's go ahead and talk about analysis first. Remember, the analysis is the process of taking something apart in order to understand it better and to see what it's made out of. Now, during this course, we studied several different types of analysis. We learned how to classify things, how to sort things into different categories. We learned how to look for similarities. That's called comparison. We also learned to look for differences, which was called contrast. So we wrote 3 essays during this course, or you will be writing your 3rd essay. One was focused on classification, classifying the Titanic passengers into 3 different classes. The next essay was a comparison essay, comparing the Titanic and then the 3rd essay is going to be a contrast essay, contrasting the Titanic with the Costa Concordia. So 3 different essays, each with a different focus, each with a different type of analysis. Now, we also talked about just the general process of analysis. There are 3 different levels. First of all, we just have to make observations. That could be observations of a photograph, of an advertisement, or of a literary text. But first we need some observations. And then from those observations we can look for ideas that are encapsulated in those observations, and then look for the overall message of those ideas. So 3 different levels of analysis. We also briefly covered that in a lesson. I also gave you a list of analytic verbs that can help you with that comparison, with the contrasting and classification, helping you think and write on that deeper level. We also participated in 3 discussions during our webinar where we were able to practice some live analysis, where we were talking about the essay topic together and analyzing it together, taking it apart, analyzing the different parts, and hopefully understanding it better. So that is what we did for analysis during this course. Now let's go ahead and talk about research. Remember, research is investigating other resources in order to find new information. So we have some information already in our heads, but sometimes we need to go and find additional information, and that is called research, where we search other resources to find new information. Remember, I think the most important thing that I shared with you is you need to start from a general search to a specific search. If you aren't organized like that, if you jump in with too many keywords, you'll run into too many dead ends because it's too specific. So remember, always move from general to specific. I also talked about choosing a realistic research questions. There are some questions that Google can't answer for you, so just making sure that you aren't setting yourself up for failure by choosing a research question that can't be answered. We also reviewed organization methods. So when you research, it's probably not a good idea to open up 50 tabs and to try to read all of them in one sitting. So I recommended having one main searching tab with 2 to 3 tabs to the right. And once you have 2 to 3 tabs, taking the time to look over those and evaluate those web pages before moving on. So staying organized. There's so much information out there, we need to make sure our research is conducted in an organized way. We also talked about different starting points, so it might be a good idea to learn some general information about your topic by reading a Wikipedia article or some other easy-to-read article just to get you familiar with various keywords. So that was one of our starting points we talked about. Also, if you're researching something that happened recently, something in the news versus something that happened long ago in the past, make sure that your sources are credible. When there is news with new information coming out all the time, you want to make sure that you're choosing the most reliable resources. And we also mentioned a few advanced search databases, such as ProQuest, or I'm not sure if I mentioned Abesco. There are a lot of other databases that can be available to you, perhaps through your local library. A lot of times those databases are paid, so you have to have a subscription otherwise. Alright, so during this course you conducted at least 90 minutes of research, researching the various ships and the 9/11 heroes. So researching a lot of different topics, some historical and some more recent, such as the Costa Concordia. So you got some good practice with your research, and also collaborating all of your research on the 6 fakebook pages that you made during this course. So we got a lot of practice for our research and also reviewed a lot of things about how to conduct that research. All right, lastly, we talked about and learned about writing. How to turn all these thoughts, how to turn all this information into actual words. A lot of times it's difficult when you have a thought in your head to actually turn that into words. So we also got some practice doing that. One very helpful tool is the question outline. You made 3 question outlines during this course, and those question outlines help you for 2 reasons. First of all, it's an outline. It helps organize your essay so that it's not just this one long rambling train of thought. It has order and structure. It's also a question outline. So it's not just a list of statements or a list of keywords. Questions help you think of answers. When someone asks you a question, your brain is programmed to automatically think of an answer. So by writing those points as a question, it helps get those thoughts turning into words. Alright, so we came up with 3 question outlines during this course. You may have also participated in a pre-writing exercise, such as a free write, perhaps an impromptu speech to get thoughts moving. We also reviewed MLA formatting. So formatting our pages, formatting our essays to make them look nice and official, and also MLA citation, which was always a challenge to get those details right, but we talked about in-text citation as well as a works cited page. And we started off with no quotes necessary to having 2 quotes necessary in our essays, and then the essay for this week will have 4 quotes that need to be properly cited, both in in-text citation as well as a works cited page. So getting some good practice not only with research, but also using that research in an essay with giving proper credit. So a lot of things we're doing during this course. During this course, you did write, or you are writing, 3 essays, 3 analytic research essays. These were not just informational essays, these were analytic essays, essays that were comparing, contrasting, or the first one's slipping my mind, classifying various objects, and it's also a research essay. So it wasn't just information that you know off the top of your head, you actually had to do a fair amount of research in order to write these essays. So 3 essays that you wrote during this course, very impressive. Okay, so you might be wondering, I think I'm at the end of my goal. I think I've reached my goal. I know how to write an essay, I know how to analyze, and I know how to research, so I'm done. But actually, that's not true. How would it be if you took all of the money that you had and you bought a fishing pole, you bought a tackle box, you bought a fishing hat, you bought a boat, you bought a fishing license, you had everything you needed to go fishing. And then you took all that stuff, threw it in your garage, and you said, now I know how to fish. Well, that would be really, really sad because you spent all that money, all that time collecting all those tools and all that knowledge and skills, and then you just threw it away and threw it in your garage. So we don't want to do that with these skills. We don't want to learn how to write, learn how to analyze, learn how to research, and then throw it all in the garage. We want to use it. We want to be good stewards of this knowledge that we have. And we also want to not just be people who know a lot of stuff. We want to be people who are doers, who actually use the tools that we have. And lastly, we want to become more and more creative. So I know all of you are creative, you have some great ideas, and you have some great ways of expressing those ideas. But we can always be growing in this area. So the more you write, the more you use these skills, the more creative you will become. So for these 3 reasons, I would really encourage you to not think of this course as the end, but as the starting line. So not a finishing line, not a finish line, but the starting line. And there are some ways that you can be using and practicing these skills, and I just want to share some of these ideas with you. You can always write letters to the editor. You may not subscribe to a newspaper, but there are plenty of newspapers online. You could read an article, and if you have a thought, you could just write a simple letter to the editor, and maybe your letter will get published in that newspaper. So that would be really fun, and it's a fairly easy way of getting published and getting your work actually published somewhere. So that can be really fun, and it can also help you think about an issue, analyze an issue, and you may even have to do a little bit of research in order to respond. So that would be a very easy way of continuing your writing. Also, there's this group called HSLDA, and they have an essay contest every fall with cash prizes. So I think it's about $10 or $15 to enter the essay contest. They give you a topic, and they have some guidelines, and then the winner earns, I think it's over $100 in a cash prize if you win. So if you would like, you can go ahead and check out that contest and enter that this fall. That would be another good way of practicing your essay writing skills. Here's another idea. Over the summer, you could put together a little newsletter for your friends. You could write about what your family is doing. You could write a little weather report. You could write about something that's happening around the world. Any type of newsletter you like. And you could just throw together maybe even just a one-page newsletter and email that to your friends or mail that to your friends. And that could be a really fun way over the summer to keep up with your writing skills. It doesn't have to be, you know, a very technical, scientific kind of newsletter. It can be just fun. But anything that keeps you writing is a really good idea. Alright, also, there are a lot of places where you can design a little photo book, and it's not that expensive anymore. So if you have some photos, maybe from a family vacation, or you can make a little photo book for your dad for Father's Day, there are so many things that you can make a photo book on. So that's kind of fun because you get to play with words and you get to play with pictures. So that's just another idea, and there are lots of places online where you can self-publish that and get that printed off. So again, this is not a comprehensive list of ideas, but just some ideas to help you think of more ideas, ways that you can continue using your writing, analysis, and research skills. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the assignments for this last lesson. Watch the lesson video. You have the option of doing a pre-writing exercise, and then your essay topic for this week is to contrast the Titanic and the Costa Concordia. So remember, contrast is pointing out differences, pointing out 3 differences between these 3 ships, between these 2 ships. This essay needs to have at least 4 properly cited quotes, as I mentioned, as well as a works cited page. And the minimum word count is 400 words, and I don't think any of you are having any trouble meeting those minimum word counts. So those are the assignments for today. Don't forget to submit your progress report, which also includes a little assessment, if you don't mind filling that out. Okay, so in summary, we talked about analysis, research, and writing. You have a very solid foundation in all of these skills. Go ahead and continue to build on it by practicing and using these skills. And remember that words need to be taken captive. We need to take every thought captive, as it says in the Bible. We need to take every word captive. And this means not just writing silly things, but we need to write things that are useful and that are profitable and that help us think about good things, that help us bring us closer to God, help us know more about God, and to help us form the way that we think, form the way that we write. So basically not wasting our words, but taking every word captive and letting it actually count. And then lastly, I would just like to give God the glory for all these skills that you have worked so hard for. We can't do anything without God helping us and without God giving us these opportunities and abilities. So the little Latin phrase is Soli Deo Gloria, which means to God alone be the glory. All right, well, this wraps up the last lesson for Muse, as well as the last lesson for this entire course. So I hope that all of you have a great summer, and I hope to work again with you sometime.